Boker Tov, everybody. We learned for Lila Nishmatam, Der Chayavram, Ben Rachaleo Mer Tzvi, Shamash Devin Aliyah, and for Shleimet 4. Okay. We are on in chapter 3, Pirke Gimel. We're in Mishne Yud Dalid. In many cases, found as Yud Dalid in the art scroll. I think it's maybe a different number 14 or number maybe 17. It starts Chaviv Adam Shenivra B'Tzelem. 18. Okay, so it's either chapter 3 number 14 or chapter 3 number 18. Chaviv Adam Shenivra B'Tzelem. Okay, got it. You have it, Harry? Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's different. This whole chapter has had yes, creativity is a very good way to say it. Okay, so I'm going to reread the Mishnah. I'm going to mention a question I ended up with last week, which I'm not going to answer, but I'm going to mention the question anyways. And then we're going to finish this Mishnah today. I'll tell you why I'm going to finish it today. He used to say, we're talking about Rabbi Akiva, he used to say, man, humans, just leaving it right now as humans, are beloved before God because they were created in his image. In addition to that, God himself let mankind know that they are special because they're created in his image. In the image of God, he made man. The second statement, Chavivim Yisrael, Sheniku Banim B'Makom. Beloved are the Jews who are called the children of God. And also this specialness, this uniqueness was known to the Jews, was told to them for the fact that it says that they're called Banim. You are God's children. Third statement, Chavivim Yisrael, that also in addition to having been made B'Tzelem and also to be being the special children of God, we also have one other thing, that we were given a special tool. What is the special tool? It's Torah. And this special tool was made it known to them. The utensil with which the world was created. Now, I've already read the Mishnah a number of times, not going to go to depth. The question I left off with, and I'll explain why I'm putting it off, is there was one opinion. The very first statement is Chaviv Adam, the mankind is beloved before God. If you look in your English, probably it says man, mankind, humankind, personhood, whatever the stupid woke word might be. And there was one opinion, I think it was that of the Maharal, maybe. No, Maharal Tzadikim. There was one opinion that said that Adam meant Adam Arishon, that he was special, and therefore, as a result of that, all Jews are special because the neshamot were all in Adam, and they split once everybody as time moves on. The question I was left with was, wait a second. First of all, Adam wasn't Jewish, and all non-Jews also have a neshama, which also originated with Adam. So the question was about one specific opinion. I'm putting it off to a later Mishnah. We'll get to it down the road. No one's going to remember, including myself, but I'll make myself a note. Maybe we'll see if it actually happens. Yes. Yes. Correct. So at that time, right? At that time in history, there is no Israel per se the way we know it, as far as Medinat Israel, obviously. And there, it generally, it's in the Torah, in Navi, and in the writing Chazal, usually it's just Yisrael. Rarely you're going to see the word Yehudim. You do see it in Megillat Esther, for example. You see it in plain places, Yehudim Prazim, right? And other places also in Navi. But I want to talk about the next two statements. And I'm going to tell you also why I want to finish today, this Mishnah. The next Mishnah that comes after that, when a person teaches a class that it's material that they know or know in depth or just know tangentially, almost always there's a reason to teach that class. I happen to love Pirke Avot, a lot of great lessons and things like that, which is why Bezrat Hashem we're also going to do Mishne, starting hopefully the next couple of weeks, not here Sunday nights. But there's one Mishnah of all the Mishnah to Pirke Avot that I've been waiting for. That's the next one, because either either a person who teaches it is going to read it, translate, and move on because they're scared, or they're going to go into depth. And you know me, I'm not scared. I'm going to go into depth. It's going to be a massive discussion, not necessarily here, but in general, it is a massive discussion about the concept of free will versus predetermination of God. It's a simple, simple, easy peasy, as they say. But I love the topic. So that's what's coming up next. That's what I want to finish today. So we can get, I might even touch on it today. We don't. Okay, anyways, enough introduction. The next statement was Chavivim Yisrael, right? That the Jews are beloved because of Banim Lamakom, the children of God. Truth is, any human being is a child of God and has this opportunity to be on the same level because they're also created b'tselem Elokim. But having said that, we also have to take into consideration the idea that there is a higher level of chavivut, a higher level of uniqueness, of belovedness, if there's such a word, by us, of us being special children of Hashem. First of all, Hashem made a brit with us. Hashem made a covenant with us through Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. Number two, we have zechut avot, which is critically important to understand. What's zechut avot? It means that the fact that we still are around, the fact that we have, that we shine in this world, the fact that the list goes on and on, has a lot to do, if not completely to do, with zechut avot. What does zechut avot mean? It's the ultimate protectia. The ultimate protectia. In Israel, as we all know, it's everywhere, but especially in Israel, it's not what you know, it's whom you know, right? Oh, the guy, I can't get into school. Yeah. The admissions guy I served with him in Gaza, in 2001 or whatever. Like, don't worry about it. I got you covered. This kind of stuff happens daily. And I just heard a story yesterday from someone exactly like this. So we have the ultimate protection that we have Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov in our back pocket, so to speak, that are there as our zechut, our merit. It's their actions that did for us. The same is true, by the way, put aside our avot, put aside and bring into account your own avot, imachot, your predecessors, so that came before you, what they did, their mitzvot and everything else. I've heard more than one occasion where a speaker talks about the fact that you could have a kid, a teenager, whatever, someone who's up the derech, he's not religious and all. And suddenly they turn around and without even, sometimes you see the reason what happened, and sometimes just like out of the blue. And I've heard them say that sometimes it's when the great grandmother sat in the shtetl saying Tehillim every day, and those Tehillim were saved somewhere in a box, and God took them out at a certain time to bring the zechuyot of that Tehillim, and now that kid got that extra push, and now he's able to, whatever it might be. We don't know anything for a fact. The truth is that anyone has the right to join us. This isn't a closed religion. We tried to deter someone from becoming religious or Jewish/religious, but we don't prevent people from being gerim. And not only that, some gerim or descendants of gerim are some of the greatest scholars we've ever had in our history. Who was the author of this Mishne? Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva is a descendant of gerim. His father was a ger. Onkelos, the greatest commentary besides Rashi as far as it's not just a translation, but it's a commentary also on Torah and many other areas as well. Shmaya and Avtalyon were descendants of Sancheriv, actually the one who destroyed Yerushalayim. There's a famous Gemara that the descendants of Haman learned Torah in Bnei Brak. Yes. And even Nebuzaradan, who was known as Rabba Tabachim, the one who slaughtered many, many Jews. He was the terrible individual. Who was his descendant? Rabbi Meir. Okay, so we're talking about the fact that anybody can be part of this amazing group of people. Now, if you take a look, you take two human beings. You take Jack Weinstein, made up the name. I'm sure there's somebody named that. Probably know somebody by that name. You take Fred McGillicuddy. Oh, my next door neighbors. And you put them next to each other, right? Putting aside stereotypes, putting aside what people assume a Jew looks like or what a non-Jew looks like. Take two human beings, al panim, they're the same people. They have lungs, they have kidneys, they have, they walk, they talk, they breathe. What's the difference between them? So I'm going to show a little show and tell. See if I get it. Okay, I have two pieces of paper here. I can tear them both up. Don't worry, I won't. I can tear them both up. I can write on both of them. I can burn them. They're exactly the same thing as far as not the makeup, because this has more to it than this does, more substance than something else. It has more ink. Okay, it has more ink, but it has more than that even. Do you know that in American dollar bills, I was watching a show because I love trivia years ago, and it says one of the main ingredients in a bill is linen. I said, oh, what if it has wool and linen? Whoa, it's not going to be shot in this because you don't wear it on you or anything like that, but it'd be kind of weird. Anyways, I don't know what's in the bill here in Israel, but tachlis, they're the same. They're both pieces of paper, right? They're both malleable and all. But what's the difference? One has a unique characteristic that it's valuable more than this. Is probably worth about a half, maybe a half an agora, maybe what I'm having in my hand. This is worth, we know, 50 shekel. It's actually worth more if somebody needs it desperately, is willing to pay you for it, right? But again, you're looking at two things. They look physically different. I take a person who's black and a person who's white, a person who's American, a person who's Asian. They look, some of the characteristics are going to be different, obviously, but they're still people. These are still pieces of paper in a sense. But the difference is this has Avot. What does that mean? This has a value to it. It's been imbued into it. It has it's what's that? Right, it has background. There's something behind this. Technically, this is worthless. It's just a piece of paper, but it's what it represents. It used to be in the United States that bills, American dollar bills, would have on it that represented a certain amount of gold, or silver certificates, or whatever it might be in the history of the bills. But that's the deal, is that in the sense, you take the two people, the difference between the Jew and the non-Jew is the value, that's the value added. According to the Alter Rebbe in Tanya, we saw the idea that a Jew has two souls and the non-Jew has one soul. It's not one thing I can explain al regel achat. Well, it's its own many shiurim. But if you don't mind passing this back down to Martin, thank you for providing the 50 shekel bill. Actually, I should have given this to you. It's just a piece of paper after all. Okay. So anyways, so we know that pretty much anybody in theory has this option to upgrade, so to speak, their lives if they decide to do so. And the Mishnah praises the Bnei Yisrael with a pasuk. Banim atem l'Hashem Elokechem. You are children of God. There are other expressions in the Torah about the uniqueness of Am Yisrael. Parashat Yitro, Pirke Yud Tet. It's interesting when I've had the opportunity to teach things over my life. The younger I was when I taught them, it's not just my memory was better necessarily, and it's longer ago, just that it wasn't a common thing. I taught, when I was in Shalavim, everyone had to give on Thursday, on Shabbat, I think it was, had to give a chabur, like a little class everyone had to do one every once in a while, on Parshat Shavua. So one of the first times I really put together a shiur when I was in Shalavim in my second year, it was Parshat Yitro, and I still know it. I still know I could give it right now off the top of my head. I still remember it's Pirke Yud Tet and Yitro. So that's why I can say without even having notes in front of me, tell you. So it's kind of cool. It's called Girsa de Yankuta. After what you learn as a youngster, it sticks with you a lot longer. It's harder to unlearn bad habits that you gain as a child, whether it's a learning or not learning. It's very hard to change that. Anyway, so in Pirke Yud Tet, Hashem says to us, "V'iten li segula." You will be to me, skula, in the sense means chavivin. You'll be more beloved to me than any other nation. And we're mamlechet kohanim v'goy kadosh. We're a nation, a kingdom of priests, and a nation that is holy. So there are other very high praises. Imagine you have a choice of praising your child. You could say, this is my very special son. This is my wonderful daughter. Or this is my triple PhD. She does all kinds of chasadim all day long. In both cases, you're describing the special feeling you have for the child, but in a way, it's a different description. So I would think, if given the choice, Rabbi Akiva might have chosen Yitin Liskulami Kolamim, or we could have said Mamlechet Kohanim, that we're all a nation of priests, etc. That's the pasuk he chooses. What is the yitaron, or the benefit, the I don't use the word big deal, but what is the extra added, value added to being banim to Hashem? The answer is in the psukim themselves. When it says "Yitan li skula mikolami," you'll be a skula, a nation that is unique and special to me. Or when it says that will be mamlechet kohanim v'goy kadosh, it has a catch, and the catch is that we have to listen to Hashem. if you will keep my Torah and mitzvot, then da 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 da. When it comes to children, child is your child, no matter what. Child, God forbid, you do the worst thing in the world, that child is still your child. And not only that, Navi actually tells us, I'm going to just read a couple psukim here that you may be familiar with already. Actually, first, we do psukim of the Gemara first. Let me see. Which one do I do first? Yeah, let's do the hold on one second. Say that again.
I like same thing. Like if I like people that love their kids, I can tell my own child is their baby, but go bragging about them because someone me in trouble. So it's the same thing.
We're not talking about bragging.
It should have been done a little more quietly. I don't know.
I'm not sure I understand what your point is. Your question.
I like saying, well, we're the chosen nation,
Oh.
we're this, it gets us.
Hold on. Hold on to that. Hold on to that for about 5 minutes. I'm going to come back to that. Okay, that's a very good point. Very good. It's something I've had discussion with people, but I actually have set my notes about that today. In a couple of weeks from now, not this coming Shabbat, the next one after that, be Shabbat Chazon. The Shabbat Chazon is Chazon Yeshayahu ben Amos, Shechazah Yerushalayim, the vision Yeshayahu has, the opening chapter of Sefer Yeshayahu. In there, he makes a statement that is, you can almost feel the knife going right into the heart. Hashem says, Banim gidalti v'romamti v'hem pashuvi. I have raised children and they have rebelled against me. In addition to that, it says, in many other places, it says, Banim lo emun bam, that the children didn't trust in him. Meaning, in spite of the fact, it says that the Bnei Yisrael rebelled. It could have said, Bnei Yisrael gidalti, uvanim v'hem pashuvi. It specifically says, Banim gidalti v'hem pashuvi. My children rebelled against me, right? I raised my children and they rebelled against me. Hashem still calls them the children. There's zero t'naim. There's no conditions. Your child is your child unconditionally, no matter what they may do. You've seen, I'm sure, read enough books, seen enough movies where, God forbid, someone is a murderer, and the mother or the father said, "We know it's horrible what you did. We can't condone it. You're terrible, but you're still our son, and we still love you." It's that's what Hashem's saying to us in the beginning of Sefer Yeshayahu. And not only that, it goes even a step further. That when we do rebel against Hashem, you might think that Hashem's ready to kind of just step away and say, I'm done with them, which we see that a few times in the Torah. In Sefer Yirmiyahu, I forgot what parak, there is a pasuk that should give us all pause to think. We know that when we say Birkat HaMazon, when we bench, it says, Hazan et alam kulot bechen bechesed u'rachamim. Hashem gives us with freely, Hashem gives us with chesed, Hashem gives us with rachamim. Yirmiyahu poses a question, indirectly. And he says that the day after Chet HaEgel, where there was the biggest rebellion against God, not by everybody, but by a percentage of Am Yisrael, and we all suffered from that, would you expect to have had mun outside your tent the next morning? I mean, give me a break. You spit in God's face, Havdil, and no. And Pasuk in Yirmiyahu says that in spite of the fact that we rebelled, the mom was still there. Why? Because you're still my child. No matter what, Hashem says you're still my child. In addition to that, there's a very interesting Gemara I'm going to read to you in Kiddushin. Rabbi Meir Omer. Oh, wait, I went to the wrong one. That's the second half. I want the first half. Right? 12. Yeah. Whether, again, it's the image here of what's going on in the Gemara before this. Whether you hold like Abaye or whether it's a Rava's opinion, Hi, Banimatem, my Darshibe. The words Banimatem, you are my children. How do they interpret it? What does it mean? They need this pasuk for what it teaches us in a Braita. Banimatem Lashem Elokechem. You are God's children. When? When you act like children, Atem Kurim Banim. Then you'll be called children of God. If you do not act like children, banim. That's Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. Rabbi Yehuda said, if you don't act like children, Hashem's ready to disown you. Chas v'shalom. Rabbi Meir Omer, who was Rabbi Meir? He's the Talmid of Rabbi Akiva. They have the right order. Rabbi Meir said, Ben kach uben kach. Whether a person acts the way they should as a child of God or they don't, atem kruim banim. You're still called banim. Shenemar banim schalim hema v'omer banim lo bam emun ban v'omer zer merim banim mashchitim. He brings multiple psukim that it's referring to us messing up big time, but you're still called banim in the psukim. I think that's more than a message or a lesson for our relationship with Hashem. Much more, much deeper than that. So, lesson is a parent and a grandparent and a great grandparent. It's very important to understand that we can get upset with our kids. Something can happen. They can disappoint us. They can make us proud, bring us tremendous nachas. Hopefully, that's the most amount we get. But sometimes things don't always work out the way they're supposed to work out. And the child doesn't act as the child, as the ben or the bat. Nevertheless, and I'm dealing with something right now, literally right now, not my family, chas v'shalom, where family is almost ready to disown their child. It's a terrible situation, and it's causing me a tremendous amount of lost sleep. This one's too difficult. And trying to get this message across that is as hard and as difficult as it is what this child, 20-something years old, is doing, still your child. You don't want to drive the child away because you never know what's going to bring that child back. You start to sit shiva, so to speak, on that child, you're done. Your relationship will almost for sure not get repaired in that kind of situation. I don't approve what you do. It's not good what you do. I don't like it. It's against everything you've been raised with. But you're still my child. This is still your home. You have a place. No matter what, you have a place in my home and our family. Critically important message. And that's exactly this message. That's one of the reasons that Pirke Avot exists. It's not just about a relationship between us and Hashem, which is what Mesilat Yesharim is mostly about, but it's more like Mishne. And it's more about how we relate to God, how we relate to our parent, how we relate to our child. By the way, it's also how we relate to parents living or not living. Okay. The last statement of the Mishnah. We were given a special utensil. Now, I'm curious what your English says for klei chemda. What does it say? Cherished what? Utensil. Okay. Here's a trivia question for you, which I won't answer. If you know it, you can say it. There are only two, beloved. Okay. There are two people in Tanakh known as Ish Chamudot. Okay. I'll leave that hanging. Okay. Okay. I don't know if there's a connection to this here. I didn't look any further than that, but you can think about that. Okay. Only two people, as far as I know, that are called Ish Chamudot. Okay. We can never see ourselves. This, I'm going to come back to Yocheved. I'm coming to your answer shortly. We can never see ourselves as just another nation in this world. We are, in fact, unique. We say it on Shabbat, at Mincha, Goy Echad Ba'aretz. We are a unique nation on earth. And the word Echad doesn't mean one. It means, in this case, it means unique. It uses the word Echad because just like the Havdil, like Hashem is Echad, which is its only Yichud, there's only a special kind of one. Am Yisrael relative to the world as well. But if we are miyuchad, if we are unique, we have to be given the tools. If I'm an employer and I'm going to hire a person to bend metal into cabinets, but I don't provide him a machine, a press that's going to make the form, you say, you'll feel a good deal, okay? Not going to last more than a minute. If I'm going to ask you to do a job, I have to give you the utensils, the wherewithal to do it, unless it's something, obviously, you have to come up with it on your own. When these kids go around and deliver the Zman Ma'aleh on Wednesday afternoon at 1:30, how do I know it's at 1:30? Because when I'm going to Mincha, that's every week, that's where they're going. It's my first sign that Shabbat's on the way. That if the publishers of Zman Ma'aleh don't give them the newspapers, what are they supposed to just walk around and put the paper, empty something? No, they have to give them the product. So if we are miyuchad, if we are unique, then Hashem has to have given us something to make us unique and to act that way. And of course, that's the Torah. That's our klei chemda. The Kuzari refers to this concept, this tool, as ha'inyan ha'eloki, the godly or divine issue, thing, huh?
Is the definition of unique, like unique always positive, or can you be uniquely negative?
Unique means one of a kind. You know the T-shirt says "I'm unique, I'm unique just like you are," something like that.
Right. So it doesn't mean necessarily.
No, doesn't mean better necessarily, right? For example, this pair of glasses is not unique. It's not one of a kind. Someone else may have this exact prescription with this exact frame. But in a sense, it's unique because it's the only one I have that so it's not positive or negative. It doesn't necessarily have, like, you could, God forbid, take an extreme. There's the serial killers, the unique worst serial killer. By the way, you cannot modify the word unique. You can't say more unique, less unique, very unique. It's unique. By definition, you can't modify it. So the Kuzari, if you remember from a few years ago, we talked about this, right? He breaks down the world into 5 pieces. Domem, inanimate objects. Someach, things that grow, grass, trees, and all. Chai, living things such as animals, dogs. Adam, people, and Israel. I think, I don't remember for sure because it's been a while since I've taught it. I think he's the only one that makes that additional. He doesn't just say Adam, but he also says Israel. It could be that Tanya also, I don't remember. But he has Israel above all. The Jews are a class above all creation. But again, it's because of our Zechut Avot. It's because of the fact that we have the power of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov in our back pocket that keeps us going. But it's also very important for something else that we have to keep in mind. Our status of being unique, this is an answer to your point, does not give us the right to demean other people, lord over other people, to say you're no good and we're gooder, right? Everyone that's alive, everyone that exists is because Hashem wanted that person in this world. So by us demeaning, now we're allowed to say we're better than, certain sects of human beings, certain divisions, because all they believe in is, murder and killing. I don't have a problem with that. But that's not because we're Jews. That's just because we have a moral compass, right? But the fact that we are the Am Hanivchar, the chosen people, has come back to bite us many times in history. You are correct. So what's that? Chosen for what? Correct. Or unlike what Tevye says in the movie, sometimes he could have chosen somebody else. He could have chosen somebody else sometimes, right? Because he wasn't talking about our uniqueness as Jews per se. But we have it's a double-edged sword. It's very much on a macro level and a micro. Let's talk about the micro level for a second. Kutzker Rebbe, he's famous for saying it. I know I quoted him a few times on this. There are 2 psukim that seem to contradict each other, or not psukim, concepts. One is a Mishne that says, Chayav Adam lomar bishvili nivra ha'olam. A person is required to say, the world was created for me. So when I walk out of here, if I was cold, which I'm not, I was cold, and I walked in the sun, it warmed me up, I can say, God created the sun just so I'd be warm right now. On the other hand, Avraham Avinu says, Anochi afar ve'efer. I'm nothing but dust and ashes. So which is it? That the world was created for me, or I'm dust and ashes. So he said everyone should have, in a metaphorical sense, on a piece of paper, in one pocket, one pasuk, and the other pocket should be the Mishnah. So the trick is to know when to pull out what. Which pasuk applies to you at that moment. So if you decide that the world is created just for me because you want to be, a show off and lord over other people and say, look, we're better than you goyim and all that, that's a problem, right? There are a lot of people who are not Jewish, are fantastically righteous Gentiles of this world who I would do anything I could to help that person. And unfortunately, some of our own fellow Jews that I would be very hard to try to help somebody in certain circumstances, but they have to be extreme. Still Jewish. I think that I have my sister and brother are here recently, and we met at Tachane Merkazit, Yerushalayim. No, my sister, yeah, Malka, and we met at Tachane Merkazit, Yerushalayim, and I knew 1:30 was mincha. The first mincha was at the 3rd floor, so I went back to my brother-in-law. We went to that mincha. I was watching his face. Because who comes into the Avot there? Hasidim, Misnagdim, people who have tattoos and piercings, a person who's got the little, wears the bar mitzvah kippah, wears the big black kippah, big kippah, and soldiers and bus drivers. I'm looking and watching it, looking around. He said, "So, what do you think?" He says, "That has got to be the most group of a mixture of Jews I've seen daven in my life." I said, I'm here 16 years and I still love it. You see it at malls, you see it in Stiblach, you go to Stiblach, you go into all these places, whether it's a Minyan Fact, whatever it might be. But to me, what really stuck out, and this is, it's been now, 20 years now since Gush Katif? It's just now the anniversary coming up.
Yeah, 2005.
Right, so it's 20 years. There was a picture I had hanging in my wall in the shul during the Pinui, while it was going on, just before it was starting. You had all these people from Gush Katif, and you had the soldiers. And there was a fence. On the one side, you had the soldiers. On the other side, you had the people from Gush Katif. And they were davening mincha together. It was such a powerful image. It was beautiful that we know we have a job to do, said the army. And the other side, of course, they had a job to do, which unfortunately didn't pan out. We had to stay here where we're supposed to be. But right now, mincha. Mincha. That comes before everything. That's the equalizer. And that's what you see in these kind of minyanim. So yes, we are unique. There's no, we're going to take Southern Baptists are going to get a group together. We're going to get some people, from the north or whatever, the other type of, and we're going to make a quote, a prayer service together. I don't know what goes on there. I don't want to know. But we have to be very careful that we don't use our yichidut, our yichudiyut, our uniqueness, to our detriment. And that does get us in trouble. That's correct. In 1962, some of you know this name, I don't know if he's a creator or just the illustrator of Marvel Comics, Stan Lee. Okay. For years, I thought his name was Stanley, like Cher. Stan Lee. So he created a character, Uncle Ben and Peter Parker. Peter go on to become Spider-Man. By the way, I did not know this. I knew Spider-Man. I didn't know the background. So I had to do a little research. Yeah, research. Yes. Oh, really? Well, that's cool. Right. Yes. Yes. So one of the famous lines of Spider-Man, which I actually heard quoted in a shiur years ago. I said, wow, that's a great line. Didn't know what that's Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility. What a fantastic line. It is so Jewish. And that's this. With great power, what is the power? That means the power, because we have all our powers of Hashem. That with what we have, the Torah, the responsibility is tremendous, because we have the ability to make a Kiddush Hashem or Chil Hashem like that, instantly. And unfortunately, it really can sometimes be right on that line, what you decide to do. The Mishne points out that every one of us is unique by dint of the fact that we're Jewish, or by those who joined the Jewish people, of course, have the same rights. But what about Olam Haba? So you said the second statement in Mishnah was we're special because we're Jews. Third statement is we're special as Jews because we have the Torah. Could have just said two statements, the whole Mishnah. One, mankind is special because they created the image of God. Number two, Jews are special because we are the children of God who have the Torah. What's these two separate things? So in this world, we all have the Torah. We all have the ability to do, to the best of our ability, what we can. Learning Torah, teaching Torah, keeping mitzvot. What is this klei chemda? What does it do for us? So, number one, it gives us the ability to do as many mitzvot as we can. But what does that do for us? So in this world, it increases the connection with us and Hashem. But what has the long-term effect is Olam Haba. It says, Kol Yisrael Yesh Lehem Chelek Olam Haba. The 10th chapter in Sanhedrin Mishnah starts off with, and we say this when you say Pirke Avot, it's the opening statement for every chapter, if you say it on Shabbat, that all Jews have a place in the world to come, even though the next Mishnah says, and these are the ones who don't, which we dealt with already, But everyone has, now this means a portion. Now, I have a portion in the land of Israel. You have a portion in the land of Israel. People living, the Weismans, Baruch Hashem, Ira and Tamar, they should live and be well, have a huge portion up north. It's fantastic, right? We all have a portion here. What determines what happens in the next world is what we do in this world. You see in Pirke Avot and you see in many places, prepare yourself in this world, which is just a gateway or a hall to the big hall. What's going to happen over there? But we also learn you don't serve Hashem in this world in order to get the prize. We serve Hashem because we're supposed to serve Hashem. So on the one hand, we look at this Kli Chemda, this this special gift God gave us, a new tool to use, as on the one hand is how we make a better connection with God in this world. On the other hand, it also will serve us. Well, Mashiach's coming, so we don't have to worry about it. Will serve others who passed away, where they end up on the other side of the world, other side of the fence, so to speak. Okay, so what I'd like to do is I do want to read the opening of the next Mishne. I'll just give a couple words on it and not get into it today. Okay, so we are going to go the two people. Oh no, I said leaving that. That's your homework. They're called Ish Chamudot, two people. There's Eretz Chemda, but that's the land of Israel. Why do we say in benching? It says that if you have, now it says lo tachmod, right? You're not supposed to covet. Land of Israel is called Eretz Chemda, the land of being coveted. What's the scoop? So it's one of the few things it says, and I forgot where it is. The Gemara? I remember. It says that if you have a chemda for the land of Israel, then the Goyim will not be able to sustain any claim they have against the land. Yes, that's where you're supposed to have chemda. Yeah. Okay. I'll take a look at the next mission. I'm going to read it, translate it, raise a couple of questions, and we're going to stop. Next Mishnah, either 15 or I guess 19. Hakol tzafui. Everything is seen in advance, meaning by God. V'hareshut netuna. And the permission is granted, meaning we have free choice. Uvetov ha'olam nidon. And in the goodness of the world, it is judged. Hakol lefi rov ha'ma'aseh. And everything is based on the majority of action. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. We can go to the next Mishnah already, right? No. Okay. The obvious issue with this beginning half of the Mishnah has to do with the two opening statements. They are completely, well, I can't say contradictory. They're irreconcilable. Rambam, we're going to take a look next week at the Rambam's commentary on this Mishnah and one other commentary before we even get started on the Mishnah. The general thesis of the Rambam on the concept of, on the one hand, you have God's knowledge of everything. On the other hand, you still have Bechira Chofshit, free choice. He says, if you really try to reconcile it, you'll go out of your mind. But I do have an idea that I think works. I'm going to share it with you now as an introduction to the Mishnah. People say, and this is the Rambam and others say, that wait a minute, if Hashem already knows I'm going to, mess up, I don't have any choice. It's going to happen. So I'll tell you how I get around it, in my own opinion. Imagine a baby is born, and the technology exists that can video the child from the moment he's born to the moment he passes away at 120, including their actions, their thoughts, everything, absolutely everything that child does for 120 years is on video, big videotape. After 120 years, the child passes away. The technology also exists to travel in time. You take that video, you travel back to the day the baby was born, and you put it in the machine to watch it. Does that determine what the baby does? Of course not. It's a record of what baby does, or did. Didn't determine it. That's God. God is beyond what we see as, what we have three tenses, past, present, and future. It doesn't exist by God. It's not that God exists in different times. Time has no bearing on God whatsoever. If in our present, he wants to talk to Avram Avinu, he wants to talk to my great-great-great-great-great-grandchild, probably it's a girl, so he can do it, right? Because he's not bound by time. So when it says that Hashem knows that tomorrow I'm going to do X, that's not correct. It's not that I had no choice. I did it. Hashem already saw it because he's already there. One of the examples I'd seen given is someone standing in a very high building. There's a parade going on below that's many, many city blocks long, and they're up to the 100th floor. They're able to see the beginning, the middle, and the end of that entire parade. The person standing on the street level sees what's in front of them. They don't see the other stuff. But I already know that group is going to get over to here. I already know what's coming. So there's many different Mishalim, but it's obviously a very deep, difficult theological, philosophical question. We'll look at some comments on it. I'm not going to spend weeks and weeks on it, but we'll see 1 or 2 classes, I hope, because I think it's really a topic that people, first of all, it's very hard to understand. And for some people, it is almost antithetical to Judaism. I've heard people say, well, if God already knows what to do, I'm not going to waste my time. I definitely have had that. Because he already knows. He already decided I'm going to be a Russia or not. Didn't read the first line in the book of Tanya. Very first line in the book, at the very beginning of Tanya, where it says Mashbi'in. It says Tanya. We learned the Braita. It says when a fetus, a soul is going to go out into the world, it says Mashbi'in Oto. Hashem makes him take an oath. And it says, but it doesn't say he's going to take an oath. He's going to be a tzaddik or Russia, whatever. Something. I'm paraphrasing, because that's up to us. That's what Tanya's about. No, so there's a lot of stuff out there. I'll try to come up with something coherent. Bezrat Hashem next week. Have a good day. Takes it from the way.